Hey guys, this is Cam315 and I'm back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm here with some One Piece anime episode review for you guys. And man, what an episode. Especially the tail end of that episode, man. Why did One Piece, no, not One Piece, why did Toei have to do this? And then two, we're going on an anime break because I think there's something going on in Japan where it's going to take up TV, so great! You give us Rodger versus Whitebeard. You give us a Gold Rodger versus Whitebeard. And then you freaking like, okay, let's go to break now. So, yeah, that's what we're going to break. But mostly the main thing about in the episode, other than that, was the Orochi scheming and how it seems like he rose to power. Now, let's just get into it because we get a huge revelation. So most of my notes take up all the Orochi stuff. Now, honestly, we saw the episode starts off the way it ended in terms of Sukiyaki talking about how Orochi is kind of a figure that Oden treats like a brother, which to Yasui's dismay, he's like, what the hell? So we get kind of a backstory to Orochi here. And we see that Orochi here is, I guess you can say, we can see that, essentially he's running away from these people that are trying to kill him and stuff like that. And sadly, he, is like, why do they have to freaking keep chasing me and stuff like that? But personally, I don't really care about Orochi, but whatever. He manages to come across this old broken down house, and he goes into it, and then he sees this old lady also with this guy standing next to him with his banjo, and essentially this old lady essentially says that he's going to be Shogun and stuff like that. And essentially this old lady goes on to detail telling him, you want to know why your family name is essentially so water through the mud? Here's what happens. So we see that the Shogun before Sukiyaki at the time couldn't produce children. He couldn't, he couldn't do it. So no children, no heir to the throne after he passes on. So because of it, all the other daimyos were getting a little bit undersettled, like, what the hell? This guy cannot create a kid? Come on, man. So the five families are the Kurozumi family, which we know as Oroshi's family, the Shimotsuki, the Amatatsuki, Uzutsuki, and Fugetsu. Those are the other families and stuff like that. Now, what the whole thing is now, knowing that the whole, fact that Sukiyaki's father couldn't, make obviously kids and stuff like that, Oroshi's grandfather got the idea of, well, if that's happened, then let me try to rise to power and become, the Shogun on my own and stuff like that. So what he was planning to do is he was planning to kill the other daimyos with poison, and it worked out successfully. He managed to kill the other family daimyos and stuff like that, and two, making it look like it was an inside job. Like, oh, they just died because some traitors within the organization and stuff like that, which is pretty crazy, to be honest. Anyways, so because of all the deaths that was going on, it essentially stressed out the Shogun, and the Shogun was getting ill because of it. Then lo and behold, Sukiyaki was born, and that essentially put a thorn in the plan of Orochi's grandfather. And essentially because of it, it later exposed Orochi's grandfather. Somebody found out what he was doing. He managed it, but the thing is, so Orochi's grandfather couldn't find it. He killed himself by doing seppuku. I don't know. The way assassins kill themselves, essentially. He kills himself so he didn't get caught and stuff like that. And after that, after word got out, essentially the Kurozumi name was essentially, I guess you can say ruined because of it, because now the past heirs, the future heirs of the name are now essentially like criminals. Now the old lady kind of tries to twist it around and tells Orochi like, guess whose fault it was? It was Sukuyaki's fault that your name is down. And I'm like, I'm listening to this. I'm like, dude, Orochi, you can't be this damn gullible. But now we know why he's the sniveling snake he is today. You know, listen, I'm not trying to say like, yes, it isn't on the future heirs of the Kurozumi, you know, plot, family line of the fact that, hey, you know, it's their fault that, you know, that they caused it. It's really not. It was the grandfather of the Kurozumi's name that ruined it for everybody, who's going to be passed down later. So if anybody is Orochi's supposed to get mad, it's supposed to be at his grandfather. But thanks to the old lady convinces him that no, it was Sukuyaki's being born fault. And I'm like, yeah, a baby being born is the main reason to why Orochi's not Shogun. Okay, yeah, that's nice. Anyways, that's when we see this old lady, you know, and funny enough, Orochi makes a mention like, what, are you like are you like in the same family as I am, the Kurozumi family? And essentially the old lady's like, that doesn't matter now. Now I wonder if she probably is, and I'm guessing she probably is a member of the Kurozumi family who's trying to seek out revenge, and luckily enough, found Orochi and said like, oh, guess what? You know, you can do all this and that. Anyways, what happens is we find out some crazy information about the old lady. We see the old lady actually has the powers, the devil fruit powers of the clone fruit. In other words, if you do not know who the previous, or if you forgot who the previous user of the clone fruit, you're gonna have to go all the way back to Marineford / Alabasta when it was first introduced. And that was Mr. 2, Bon Clay. And again, luckily for us, Bon Clay, for a period of time, was a bad guy. And we saw the devastation what the clone fruit can do when you have somebody being able to do that. And the same thing kind of happened here. You see, she shows him the powers of the clone fruit, as well as giving him his devil fruit powers and stuff like that, which we know is the Hydra form and stuff like that. Now, she tells him, you need to save up money and produce weapons, and you have to use the craftsmen as bait so you can have their backing, so then you have a good source to have your support and everything. So what we see what, you know, Orochi's plan is. That's essentially his plan. And first, we see, like we saw a few weeks ago, how he was in Yasui's little thing. He just kind of tells a white lie by saying, yeah, my family is really poor and I need to make some money to support them. And Yasui, surprisingly enough, just lets him on in with no background check or anything, you know? Doesn't ask what his full name is or anything. I'm like, he's just like, okay, fine, yeah. I'm like, what? We're just granting out. I'm like, if jobs were that easy to grant, Jesus, I could go get a job right now. Yeah, so that's what happens. And if you remember from that episode when we first saw him, we saw that, oh, guess what? You know, the money was taken. Well, you know, one of the people go to the Yasui, he's like, yeah, not only the money is taken, but Orochi has also disappeared. Don't ask me, it's just a coincidence. It's just, I'm putting 2 and 2 together, which goes to show you that it wasn't Odin that took the money. It was Orochi that took the money, which we all knew probably from the jump. So what he then goes to do is he goes to Odin and he actually begs for some money too by saying the same white line. Odin's like, okay, fine, here you go, and stuff like that. But you have Denjiro like, bro, why are you doing that? You can't be handing out money to this guy and stuff like that. Now we know why, you know, Denjiro didn't like Orochi and everything and stuff like that. Now, what we see is, you know, the old Orochi's like, is this enough money? But the old lady's like, no, we're gonna need more, but I got a good idea. So what the old lady does is she manages to be able to become Odin. Now, if you're wondering, how the hell did she get Odin, or he's able to transform into Odin? Now listen, we all know that how the clone fruit powers work is the user has to touch somebody to be able to transform into somebody. And I'm guessing she pretended to be some shit, because we saw in this episode when she was going through the faces, which I don't know if this is in the manga, they actually showed Shiki the Golden Lion. If you've ever watched Strong World, you could easily tell that was Shiki the Golden Lion. So I don't know if that's in the manga. If that's in the manga, then she must have encountered him somewhere, which is shocking. But we see that she looked like some very beautiful girl. So I'm guessing when she ended up in the flower capital and she pretended to be some hot chick, and she managed to touch Odin. So that essentially easily explains why she can now transform to Odin, because she touched him. So she does that, and she goes up pretending to be Odin to Sukiyaki. Sukiyaki kind of is like, "Where's your retainers and everything?" He's like, "Oh, don't worry, I just came here on my own accord." Which again, it's like, you can't look into shit like, okay, simple. Anyways, that's when, the old lady, as, facading as Odin, says, well, I want you to take on Orochi. He's like a long lost brother to me and stuff like that, which explains how he's able to be in the Shogun's palace and he's working in the Shogun's palace and everything. So I'm like, now it's making sense. Then, years later, we see when it looks like, Sukiyaki's on his deathbed, Sukiyaki's telling his other people, like, listen, you need to serve under Orochi, listen to him and give him the same respect like you do with me and stuff like that. And the other people are like, okay, yes, sir. They eventually leave, and then we see Orochi start laughing. I'm watching this, I'm like, he's gonna see this. He's gonna think this is lying, and maybe Orochi just kills him then and there. No, we find out that the old lady was also Sukiyaki too and pretended to be Sukiyaki. So again, my only guess is this. She facaded to probably be somebody within the palace, touched Sukiyaki. I'm only guessing the thing is this. What happened? What they did is they ended up killing Sukiyaki, maybe privately, maybe in his sleep, at night, managed to take his body out. She managed to touch him, and she pretended to be Sukiyaki himself. And until, she fake death Sukiyaki, guess what? That's when Orochi came to the power. And that's freaking insane. And I'm like, this dude really got into power just being a sneaky type of thing. And again, it's just was like the Alabasta. When you have these devil fruit powers, like for example, the clone fruit powers, and you put that in people's hands who are trying to do wrong, trust me, that is not good. It almost worked in Alabasta, but here in this case, it worked here in Wano, which is so disgusting. Anyways, we cut over to what Whitebeard's crew are doing. They see that fish are like swimming away from this island, as well as when they, go up to shore, they see animals are doing the same thing. We later see that Rodger, actually took out a marine ship, and essentially Gold Rodger is like, yo, if you're gonna try to catch me, you gotta get Sengoku or guards to come get me. You guys are just too weak, which is very hilarious and stuff like that. I like his energy and things like that. Anyways, we see that Odin is charging directly at Rodger, and it's funny too. Rayleigh, and I forgot the other guy, they look to try to at least stop or halt him, but then Rodger's like, don't worry about me. And I like how Rodger's personality is. He's having like a whole lot of fun and stuff like that. Odin senses that Rodger could be a beast, and essentially Rodger manages to blow Odin back, and we've seen how strong Odin is. Rodger manages to blow Odin back with one hit, and also makes him start bleeding too with one hit. I forgot what the move was called. It was like Divine something. And I was like, dude, Rodger is insanely powerful. My God. He managed to blow Odin back that far. And I'm like, yeah. And obviously, if the episode, ending as, Odin's trying to charge in to get back, you see Whitebeard show up, because funny enough, Buggy makes a mention earlier, like, yo, the Whitebeard pirates are here, and then Rodger's like, interesting. This might be my last time to see Whitebeard, because I think this is the year that he eventually turned himself in because he got ill and stuff like that. He caught the illness that he couldn't cure or anything. And then the episode ends off playing great music in the background. The music they play in the background during the clash was the part, if you watch One Piece Stampede, was when Luffy went Gear Force Snake Man. They managed to clash, and the animation is insane. I'm like, whoa. I'm getting hyped. I'm like, and then you hit the to be continued screen. I'm like, really? And then now we know we have an anime break. And I'm like, come on, dog. So we're gonna have to not. So the anime won't come back next week. We'll come back the week after, which I believe is, if I'm looking at my calendar, March 20th. No, March 27th. Yeah, no. I'm right. March 20th, which freaking blows. But okay, I understand. It's fine by me. But yeah. Anyways, that's kind of it for the episode. A good episode. We understand the scheming of Orochi. And yeah, other than that, guys, that's all I gotta say. So if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this One Piece episode, as well as hit that subscribe button if you want to get more One Piece content. Till then, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.